What happens is when a settlement is reached, the claimant information is compared to the government database to determine if the individual is a Medicare beneficiary or not. We've been doing this for a number of clients so far, and what the query has indicated is roughly 60 to 70% of the individuals are in fact Medicare beneficiaries, which I think for some folks is higher than originally anticipated. There's a lot of confusion around this issue because the government has basically said that companies need to comply, and I think it's gotten everyone's attention because of the fines and sanctions. $1,000 a day gets folks' attention. The difficulties are the vagaries of the regulation and how compliance is supposed to be initiated. There's the rules in the user guide that the CMS has issued are not exactly clear in terms of what claims should be included, what payments should be included, so as a result you get a lot of disputes and different opinions in terms of what needs to be reported. The government pushed back the deadline for reporting, largely, we suspect, because of the lack of clarity around what needs to be reported and kind of the rules of the game. So by pushing back 9 months or so, they've given a little bit more time to address these issues. However, they haven't clarified some of the specifics in terms of who needs to report, what needs to be reported, all those sorts of things. They're basically just buying some time. Originally, the law was enacted to pursue ongoing payments, so the focus was primarily on workers' comp and ongoing commitments for medical costs. I believe the mass tort product liability settlements were kind of an afterthought that the government should go after, but hadn't really anticipated. So as a result, in establishing the guidelines, mass tort and product liability is a bit different and needed some clarification that as yet has not been developed. From our perspective, the reporting of the information mechanically has worked out actually pretty well. We understand the mechanics, and the government has been very helpful in terms of how the data is to be exchanged. The real base of the problem is who needs to report, what do they need to report, and how those decisions are made kind of at the front end. We view the back end kind of mechanical process as very workable and not really problematic. Yeah, I think the reason that it's hot right now is, as I mentioned, that the $1,000 a day fine gets people's attention, and because it is the government, it's not exactly clear as to how this will play out over time. It may be that the government realizes that a lot of the settlements in mass torts and product liabilities may or may not relate to Medicare costs, so they may change their position. As of now, I think they're just trying to identify claimants where there's a potential for primary payments that were made to the claimant, and Medicare is therefore entitled to, under the secondary payer rule, reimbursement for the funds that were already paid to that individual. The law has been on the books for a long period of time. Obviously, with Medicare in general being a hot issue in the states here, any sort of funding that they can get, they're going to go after. And this seems like a ripe one because there are so many dollars being paid out and the ability for Medicare to recover some of those reimbursements that they're entitled to.